I'm Jacob Mattson. I work here at MotherDuck. Welcome to our great office. I work in DevRel, so I get to kind of do marketing without saying I work in marketing. But my talk today is about we should use SQL more, and about how we can use Iceberg and SQL together to do lots of fun things. Okay, come on. So I want to just do a quick primer on what DuckDB is. How many of you here have used DuckDB before? Okay, about a third, maybe a quarter. So DuckDB.
They both have to get content.
Perfect. So DuckDB is a in-process OLAP query engine. It's like SQLite. You can put it anywhere. It's super lightweight, single binary, runs on Mac, Linux, Windows, etc. Really, where it excels is it kind of has built-in parallelism everywhere. You write one single query on it, and it will saturate the CPU. It also has really nice kind of single parser or a SQL kind of a query parser based on the Postgres spec. So it is Postgres-compatible as well for those of you that have experience using Postgres. It's very seamless. Just plug in your queries and they just work. And then a bunch of, one thing that I love about it, and we're going to talk about a lot today, is it has this notion of supporting libraries. So a lot of the challenges that come along with SQL are that you're rewriting the same things over and over and over again. It supports libraries, written in C++, SQL, and other languages. So what we're doing at MotherDuck is we're taking this really great open source library that is DuckDB, and we're wrapping a cloud service around it. It's serverless, it scales, it's single node scale, so we scale up, not out. One thing that we've kind of come to realize is that as we build software that's kind of built for single nodes is that single nodes continue to get really big, and they've kind of outscaled our ability to create data. The biggest node on AWS, for example, is 32 terabytes of RAM right now, and 896 vCPUs. It's very large. I think you can only get those for SAP HANA, by the way, so can't use DuckDB on them yet. Yeah, so we got a bunch of cool stuff like that we're building out. Yeah, that's kind of the MotherDuck story there. One thing I want to talk about and why I talk about let's use SQL more is kind of the old paradigm that I think about is these groups of people, they use different tools, right? Maybe the business users are using Excel and the data scientists are using R and Python, and the data engineers are, maybe in the core of what they're building, or maybe they're using Spark or, their specific SQL engine. And software engineers aren't really in the picture generally when you're talking about data. One thing that's happening with DuckDB is when they surveyed their users is we're seeing that 23% of DuckDB users self-identify as software engineers. So something interesting is happening here. We actually have something that we believe is SQL dialect that software developers don't hate, which I think speaks a lot for the quality of DuckDB. But if we use SQL more, what it means is that when we get really complex problems, everyone can talk to each other, right? Because I can, as a business analyst, I can write a query or maybe frame out the notion of one that someone else can take, from a data analyst perspective to a data engineer, or then maybe even to a software engineer. And I think that's a very powerful pattern because a lot of the expensiveness of solving problems with data is the handoffs between all of these groups using different languages and different paradigms. So what I love about this, again, DuckDB and SQL, we can solve epic business problems together. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into a demo here of the DuckDB command line. So let's find the right window. Not that one. Okay. Give me 1 second to get this here. Okay. So I'm going to find my share window and share my terminal. Hang on. I think I have to move my Google Meet to the right desktop. Here we go. Okay, so we're in the terminal. You can install DuckDB with Brew in your terminal if you're on a Mac. You can also download the binaries using wget or whatever. On Linux and on Windows, you can download an exe installer. So I'm going to jump into DuckDB, and I'm going to turn the timer on. Why not? Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, there are libraries for DuckDB. So by default, if I try to read an Iceberg file right now, I can't do it because I need to install the Iceberg library and load it. So now I have access to it. And I'm going to do the same thing with HTTPFS. So I can hit, if I can type, so that way I can hit S3 as well. Okay. And again, this is all SQL. So if you're like, running something, again, you can just do like a prepared statement, execute it in SQL. It all just gets executed in DuckDB. Okay. So I think I have a query here that I can grab. So I'm going to use what we call Iceberg scan. And so I've taken the, I went through the pain of getting Spark running on my laptop. Don't recommend that. And took some Parquet files that represent the TPC DS dataset at scale factor 100, which is about 100 gigabytes of data. Kind of a nice, it's not a huge dataset, but enough to kind of get things working. So this is what the SQL query looks like. We can just pass the S3 path in, and we need to make sure to pass in this all rows or allow moved paths parameter too. And so we can just like look at what's in this table. This only has 30 rows, but it should come right back. Maybe. Okay, great. Yeah, so there's some latency there. Probably just going out to S3 and getting the data, honestly. So that's the first thing we can do. And then what we want to do next is really kind of like, okay, well, this is all running like locally with latency to my laptop. That's why it took like 2.5 seconds. We can just attach MotherDuck to this and then use MotherDuck to query it. And MotherDuck is in AWS also, right next to S3, so it'll be much faster, right? So we can do something like attach notion. So, oops, see if I can type it right. Okay, so this is going to basically take my local DuckDB session and authenticate to MotherDuck. So I've just done that. And so I can actually just type in like show databases as an example. And you'll see that I have databases attached now. This memory DB here, this represents the database that I actually have kind of in memory using DuckDB right now on my laptop. So I have all these other databases available in the cloud, and then I have this one available kind of locally to me. So when you see me pass like an abbreviated path, like just a single table reference, that's going to be using the memory database. All right, so let's just really quickly put this into the cloud. So I'm just going to put this into MyDB. So I'm going to go back up and just type in create or replace table. We'll just call this, call center. Oops, okay. So if I do it like this, it's going to just create a table kind of in my local. I want to actually reference my cloud database, which is called MyDB or any of these really. So now that I have a fully qualified name, it's going to just insert this. If I can, remember the keyword as, it's very nice. Where did my cursor go? Okay. Okay, cool. So now we have, a catalog error. Call center is not a table. That's because I created a view with that name in it already earlier today. Let's just rename it. Okay, great. So now we've taken that data, and you'll notice it took less time, right? Because I'm just going, there's no network traffic coming here to my local machine. That's just all happening in AWS, and just saying, hey, yeah, that query worked. So if I go look in MyDB, I can see I have a bunch of tables. So I can do like, I'm going to use MyDB like this, and then show tables. And now I will show, I should have some, here we go. So here's the ones I threw in there. So again, this is just interacting, just like a classic Excel session, like you're using PSQL or whatever, right? But we also have a really powerful database that we can use locally too. So because this is all SQL, one thing that's really cool is we can use dbt as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see exactly where you're running this. Is this in the same account same region, or like how, like, should we expect different latency as
I think the S3, yeah, good question. I mean, my experience with the S3 interconnects is they're pretty good, but like, yes, if you're not in East, if your S3 bucket is outside of US East 1, it might be slower. Yeah. But like, not materially in my experience, but it is, you can tell.
in Mother's supervision in US East 1, correct?
Yeah.
Is there a timeline for the regions?
Not that I'm aware of. It's definitely on our roadmap, to add multi-region support for sure. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. So one thing that's cool is that because we're just using pure SQL, we can use tools like DBT that manage kind of our data transformation layer. So I'm going to just stop sharing for a second and hop into a DBT project that has a bunch of, has all my sources defined. I'll just show you what that looks like. If I can, okay, this was a, okay, share Windows. Okay. I know probably, my guess is this audience is not super familiar with DBT. How many of you here have written? Okay, two. Okay, great, cool. So DBT is like a layer for managing data transformations. So here's how I basically have this kind of project set up so I can hit a bunch of different data sources using variables in DBT. So for example, I can really quickly import my Iceberg catalog by just doing dbt build, and I'm just going to do just these raw tables. Can I move this? Okay. dbt build, actually probably, there we go. Okay, so what this is doing is it's just going to run right now, and it's going to pass the SQL into MotherDuck. Actually, hang on, I don't know why I did that. Let's run this a little bit faster. So this will run 8 threads at a time and just jam views across into MotherDuck. So now we've basically put all of the TPC DS data that is in Iceberg into MotherDuck, right? So that means that what we can do is, if I go to MotherDuck, and reshare my screen, if I can find Google. Sure. Hopefully this is the right view. Here we go. Yep. Okay, so this is the MotherDuck web UI, and so I can actually, here's kind of a list of the tables that I have. I'm just filtering on database name, and I have all the queries. There's 99 queries as part of TPCDS that I don't care about right now. So I can see that. So these are all basically in here as views. And so what's really cool is I can actually so this is the MotherDuck web UI, which again is running DuckDB, but DuckDB WASM. So this is in the browser. So if I click on this, you'll notice that my catalog takes a second to load. That's because this is an Iceberg table and it's a view. This is basically now, we've made this a schema on read. If you squint, it's a materialized view. It's not a materialized view, but if you squint, it kind of is. So what this means is we're just, as more data is inserted into that Iceberg table, it just shows up. Yeah.
Sorry, you just talked about this game WASM. Are you saying that you need to connect it to the WASM instead of DuckDB running these?
These are running on the same databases, but the DuckDB WASM engine is connected through MotherDuck directly, and then I have a separate session open connected through my command line.
Okay, thanks.
But they are not on the same kind of backend instance. They're both gonna be in their own separate, we call it a duck link. So they're gonna have.
You're running where is it or WASM?
No, not in this case. No. So all of this data went into MotherDuck on the back end, and then I'm pulling the catalog into WASM. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So we have data in here. This is views, right? So we can do things like we can look at this data, right? Here's this is like a 300 million row table, and we're just getting a summary of it. Here's sales by day, basically. I'm not joining anything into it. Joins work. They're very fast, but just for the sake of this demo, I didn't add it. So one thing I can do here that's really cool, though, is if I do create temporary table, this table that I'm running, this is now in WASM, right? So when I execute things against this temporary table, it's super fast. Like, I don't know, this demo, like I was just having some fun here. Here's like a linreg, on this data set, right? So we've taken this data, 300 million rows, we've summarized it into 100 to almost 2K rows, and now we can get linreg on like, hey, what does that look like on this data set, the sales by day data set.
Are you exporting the temporary tables, or kind of in the same vein question? Can you export materialized views up to WASM?
Absolutely, yeah. So when I do create temp table here, and I do it when I don't specify where I'm putting it, it'll go locally. Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Yeah, which means that if I do subsequent queries on it, it's free, right? It's not increasing any compute. Okay, now I'm going to go back to DBT. So I'm going to stop sharing if I can find the button and present something else. Ah, that's nice. Okay. So again, this is probably most relevant to people who are like kind of know their way around DBT. But in my DBT project, I have defined kind of my raw. Okay, stop it. Don't want to show the diff. So in my DBT project, I've defined my raw tables as materialized as views, and then the queries as tables. So you can kind of think this as like a silver or like, bronze, and like bronze is just views sitting on top of Iceberg, right? There's no data persisted in the database. And then since we're materializing our queries as tables, that's like our gold layer, right? And so we'll take those out of Iceberg and put them in the MotherDuck database, really so that we get really nice performance when querying them, right? And for users, we can do things like auditing and checking on them, make sure they're all good before they kind of get to the analytical layer, which is kind of the fun part of DBT. This project, which is about 40 gigs of data in Iceberg, if I build this, all of these queries, this is again the TPCDS benchmarking data set, it takes about 12 to 15 minutes to run in MotherDuck to kind of build those. Yeah, go ahead.
Stepping up, a while ago you said there's data set added to Iceberg. Jeff showed.
Yeah.
What is it doing? Falling frame snapshot?
So the view that's built in MotherDuck is just a pointer. So when you query the view, it goes out to Iceberg and pulls that data into MotherDuck. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's trade-offs everywhere. It's not there's no streaming occurring. It's when you execute it. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of what's happening in DBT. Again, I can do a full run here. Lots of fun ways to kind of optimize this. I can either make the loading fast and then make the kind of subsequent queries slow. I can load all of it into MotherDuck, and then the subsequent queries are much faster. Generally, what we see with DuckDB performance over Iceberg is about 5x faster in the DuckDB native format. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing again and jump to the next part here. So here's another fun thing we can do, which is in the same vein of let's just use SQL in like silly places. I'm going to jump in here, and there is a HTTP server that someone built as an extension for DuckDB. So we can do this and then load HTTP server. So now I can do this. Hang on, I think I have to this is where I need to fix the quotes, Gerald. Okay. I put these in the Notes app and it changed the quotes. Okay, fix them. Okay, so I can use a select query, and now I have an HTTP server that exists sitting on top of DuckDB, right? And what's cool here is I can do things like make a curl request now against it, right? So I can do this. And so now I just get back as a JSON line, select one. Now what I can also do is, for example, query a table. Maybe, this has the quotes again. Hang on. Why does it do this? I don't know. Okay. All right. So we just got back 100 rows from that table in JSON lines. It's very fast. So this is taking data that's in MotherDuck, returning it, via HTTP to my console. I can also go back and even hit like an Iceberg table the same way, right? So if I hit something that's just sitting in Iceberg, okay, I don't know what's going on there, but so like this call center table, again, it's 30 rows, but when I'm making this request, this is going right from my local DuckDB, right, to MotherDuck, to Iceberg, and then returning it as JSON lines, right? So now whatever endpoint I want to expose my data as, I can just say, anything that can hit JSON or make a curl request, I can get data out of MotherDuck and into wherever I want to get it to, right? But like a lot of times, I come from like the finance side of the house. So like people like spreadsheets. And so what tends to happen is people want their spreadsheets. Your CFO says, hey, can I get that? But can I get that in a spreadsheet every Monday? And you say, let me get back to you on that. But what we can do is I can, again, stop with a select query. It's very silly. Someone else in the community made something called a G Sheets extension. There's also an Excel. Yeah, go ahead.
Finish this one for him now.
Yeah, okay, perfect. G Sheets. Load G Sheets. Okay, so now I have the G Sheets extension installed, which means I can actually read from Google Sheets directly with OAuth, and I can actually write back to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a secret. So DuckDB has a secret manager. So I'm going to say type G Sheet. And I'm actually going to pop it into an OAuth flow that you can't see right now. It's okay, though. And then, okay, copy my token. Okay, so I can see this now. So what I'm going to do is I'll just share my whole screen if I can find the button. Oh, stop it. Okay. So we're going to go into Sheets. And we'll just create a new spreadsheet. And we'll just call it Iceberg Demo. Sure. And then I'm going to grab this ID right here. And so what I'll do is go back to my terminal. And I'm going to just use Postgres syntax. And I'll say jdw dev dot ds, and then we'll do, I don't know, query 23 to start. Again, this is materialized in MotherDuck. 2, and then we just use this little format like we're doing a CSV, except we do G Sheet. Okay. The G Sheets, maybe. Table, jdw dev. What did I do here? To ID format G Sheet. Oh. I don't think I need to use quotes on it. Such is the way these work, I believe. There we go. Okay, so you'll see right behind me, this data just popped into my spreadsheet, right? I wrote it straight out. Of course, what this also means is I can do things like materialize an Iceberg table directly in Google Sheets as well by just simply going over here. Oops. Oh gosh. Changing this to, I don't know, like a call center. Again, this is a view. This is a view here. It only has 30 rows, but run that. And now we've taken that Iceberg data and we've written it into the sheet that we defined. Let's see, did I have anything else I wanted to talk about? That's all I had for now. I think, that's kind of the way we think about connecting all of these pieces together, being able to interact with the Iceberg as both tables and views, with MotherDuck, without MotherDuck, with DuckDB, in memory, materialize, etc., and then writing it out to all the different places you might need it. That's all I got. Thanks, everybody.